With your fantasy football drafts coming up, we are talking players that we are drafting. We are back. Welcome back to the Fourth and Flex Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Bandy. That's Trey, and the time is now. Buddy, what is happening?
Man, we are almost there. Look, football's next week, dog.
Yeah.
And we wanted to come on here and give you some guys that we just can't stop drafting, guys that we are loving in every draft we're in. We're doing everything we can to get them on our team. These are our dudes. You know what I'm saying?
They are our dudes, man. Speaking of our dudes, Sir Bongs a lot in the comments over on YouTube.
In the
clouds, as per usual. What's happening, my friend? What's happening? Guys, don't forget, no matter where you are watching Fourth and Flex, don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you can be a part of our fantasy football community, guys. Join one of our groups, become a member, become a Flexaholic, and flex with your boys over here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We are getting you to your fantasy championships. That is for certain. But today we are talking about players we're targeting in our drafts. These are guys that we just cannot stop drafting, Trey. And we've got a whole gang of them here for you guys. So pay attention because it's about to get going. I'm going to kick us off, buddy. I'm going to kick us off with a guy on a new team, a guy that I'm really liking a lot as the season gets closer, and that is Joe Mixon. Okay. Joe Mixon, running back for the Texans last season over on the Bengals, 1,034 yards and 9 touchdowns. Look, he's going around the 5th round in a lot of drafts that I have been in. He's 28 years old, and I understand how that scares people, but he's a bell cow back over on a strong offense that everybody's super excited about. Okay. And if you're one of those 0 RB strategy guys, this is a guy that is perfectly, he's ready. He's right where you want him to be. A guy that you can get. He could be a low end RB1 on a lot of teams. And like I said, with that 0 RB strategy, you're looking for value at the running back position. And what better value than Joe Mixon, a bell cow back on the Texans? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and just throw it out there. Projecting this season, 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns for Joe Mixon, Trey.
Wow, man, that's a heavy prediction. You know, the only thing that scares me, is obviously all the receivers and C.J. Stroud and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell and Nico Collins and all these guys that could also be putting up touchdowns that could take away from Joe Mixon. But I do like the Joe Mixon take. Getting him at value in drafts, because of the new team, because of all the mouths to feed. But, you're right. He's a bell cow back, and the Texans, they're going to run the ball. And Dameon Pierce, they're not going to give it to him. So I think Joe Mixon is the man there, and I like it.
It really hurts my heart a little bit, though, Dameon Pierce. I love that guy. His rookie season was amazing, but obviously not that guy because they had to bring Joe Mixon in. And I'm just very excited to watch the Texans this season. I've said it probably 4 or 5 times. That's your 6th time right there.
Yeah, man. The biggest thing for me with the Texans, and I don't know how you feel about it, but it's just it's scary to me that I want to draft everyone on the Texans, right? Yeah. Every single player I want on my team, and I'm like, 2 or 3 of those are going to fail me from where I want to take them because, you can't just give the ball to everybody. Right. Somebody's got to step ahead. And that's the biggest worry for me there. Even Dalton Schultz at the tight end position, that's another guy that could take some touchdowns, take some yards. But they're going to have a lot of ways to score on people. They've got a lot of options. And so that does scare me. But, running backs are going to eat. And if the Texans are as good as everybody says they are, they're going to be winning. And you know what teams do when they win? They run the ball.
Exactly. And what better guy than that big old Joe Mixon to just keep that clock running, baby?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving on to my guy, another guy that you can get right around the 5th round. Really good for those 0 RB strategies. I've talked about him all preseason long, and that's James Conner, baby, in all of my drafts. Look, Conner was awesome last year. Okay, he finished 7th among running backs in PPR points per game. He ranked near the top of the league in most rushing efficiency metrics. And this dude is going, in the 5th round. He's a low-end RB2, high-end RB3 ADP. But this dude is like one of those guys that I think has a potential to be a top 10 running back. And so you're getting him at running back 3 value with the potential for him to be RB1 on your team. And I know people think that's crazy and they're all worried about injury. The dude has never played a full season, but that's built into his draft capital, right? That's why you're getting him in the 5th and 6th round. If he does play the entire season, though, the sky's the limit with Joe Mixon. I mean, this team is building around, they got Marvin Harrison Jr., a new guy in there that's going to pull away some of the defense for him. Kyler Murray's back and ready to go. They're going to be worried about him running, and James Conner is just there to take those leaps. This is a big stat that really made me love James Conner. No running back averaged more PPR points per game than Conner from week 13 on last year.
Ooh.
I mean, he had the most PPR points last year, week 13 on. To me, that's a guy that I want on my team, especially if I'm getting him in the 5th and 6th round.
Especially with the way everyone's going PPR nowadays. You see a lot of half PPR, but full PPR is definitely coming up, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, James Conner, a guy that, to be honest, I slept on myself, but as it gets a little closer, I'm seeing that you're not the only one that's loving him some James Conner. It's everywhere, man. I'm very surprised with the people that are jumping back on that James Conner train. I really thought that was a hot take that you put out a couple weeks ago, Trey, but apparently it's a well-known thing around the fantasy community that James Conner is the guy to watch. That whole Cardinals offense is just going up in ADP and everybody's wanting them on their fantasy team. So I love James Conner. He's a guy that I am also looking to grab for value in my drafts, Trey. I love the take.
Yeah, man. I think people have been watching our show and they're hearing my take and they're taking it.
That's it.
And so if you want more information, stick around, subscribe, because we're giving out all the information that everybody's taking and running with.
That's right. Literally. Good stuff, buddy. Good stuff, man. A couple running backs, man, that we're targeting in our drafts. Now I'm going to get to a wide receiver, okay? This is a wide receiver that we've also talked about a little bit as the season has grown closer and closer. It's Chris Godwin on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, okay? A lot of hype on Mike Evans, which I love. I'm in. But I think that people are kind of sleeping on Chris Godwin a lot, man. Last season, still, with the production that he had, was still over 1,000 yards and he got 2 touchdowns, which isn't great. Last season, he led the Bucs in receptions and receiving yards, believe it or not. And Godwin's working in the slot again. This is something we've been talking about all off season. That he's really excited. He said he felt like he was out of place when he wasn't working in the slot, but now that he's back in the slot, things are going great. Okay, he's had over 1,000 yards last 3 seasons. Okay, he's going as the 35th wide receiver off the board, and I love it. Liam Cohen, the new offensive coordinator over there, that's where he wants to stick with Chris Godwin. And I really think that people are going to be sleeping on this guy. We could see the Chris Godwin of a couple years ago in fantasy and working the middle of the field and doing what we need him to do for our teams, buddy. This season projecting 1,060 yards and 8 touchdowns for Chris Godwin, Trey.
I can dig it, man. I can dig it. We all know touchdowns are volatile and they go up and down every year. It's not really a stat that you can stick to. There's so many factors that go into it, and him being in the slot right there, it might be a better spot for him to get those touchdowns. And the way I see with Chris Godwin, it's kind of the whole way I look at fantasy football. My biggest thing is I'm all about value in drafts, right? I'm not dead set on any guy. I'm all about taking the best value on the board. It's how I always play strategy card games, and it's how I've always won strategy card games. You just play for value. Who can draw the most cards? Who can get the most out there, with the most value without losing the most? And guys like Chris Godwin, I feel like you're drafting them at their floor, right? You're not going to lose value on that pick because odds are they're going to end the season better than where you drafted them. And those are all the guys I'm looking for to have on my team. So I love the Godwin pick. Yeah, boy, you do. Moving on to my next guy on my list, also a wide receiver, guy that I haven't talked about much this year. No one's talked about much this year, and it's exactly why he's on my list, and that's DK Metcalf, baby. 2023 had 66 receptions on 119 targets, 23% target share on this team, and he got over 1,000 yards. I think that target share is going to increase this year. Lockett is just not looking like that guy, and DK Metcalf is that solid guy that this team knows and trusts. He demonstrated his big play capability. He had 37 receptions of 20-plus yards last year. That was 10th in the league. And he finished 20th in points per game. He scored 8 touchdowns with the 5th most end zone targets in the league at 15 end zone targets. Like we said, touchdowns are volatile. So if he would have caught a couple more of them, he would have been even higher up on people's lists. And this is one of those things for the people that are going hero running back. You're taking running backs in the first 2 rounds. Metcalf could be a solid wide receiver 1 for your team. I mean, you can get him in the 3rd, sometimes 4th round. And he has the ability to be a top wide receiver in the league. So I'm loving me some Metcalf this year.
Yeah, man. Geno Smith is the quarterback over there. One thing Geno seems to have learned with over the last couple of years is you can count on DK Metcalf. Lockett is apparently not locked into that wide receiver 2 position. But it's DK Metcalf, man. Big-bodied receiver, goes up, gets the ball. He's rough and tough. He'll push those receivers off, and he don't care. He knows that's my ball, and I'm getting that ball. And that's one thing I've always liked about DK Metcalf, man. He's got a little pacifier in, and then people know not to mess with him, dude. And it's funny because I've always thought of DK Metcalf as kind of a bully.
Yeah.
And maybe that's kind of what you want as one of your wide receivers, to bully those guys around. But I did see a video, man, of Logan Thomas coming up to him, and he's like, "Hey, man, I know Logan Thomas ain't one of the biggest, guys in the field, but he is valued." The point is he goes up to DK Metcalf and he's like, "Look, man, I know it's probably don't mean much to you, but my son loves you, and I was just hoping I could maybe get a jersey sometime." He's like, he said, "You can have this one right here, bud. Get it right here." He took it off, signed it, gave it to Logan Thomas for his son, man. And that showed me that dude does have some heart in there,
Definitely.
That aggressiveness on the field kind of scared me as to the kind of person that he was off the field. But when I see things like that, man, I really like it. And I just and to get back to fantasy a little bit, I love DK Metcalf as one of those guys you can get later in the rounds, man, as a guy that can really hop up and help your team, Trey.
Yeah, man, and it's just one of those guys that no one is talking about DK Metcalf right now, and those are the kind of guys you want to look for in your drafts. People, a lot of times they get these names and they get hyped on these names, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's amazing, this guy's great. Let's all talk about him." But the guys that no one's talking about that are just consistent every year, those are the guys you're going to get value out of in your drafts. Those are the guys I'm looking at
every single year. I love it. A couple wide receivers for you there, and I don't know if this is going to play out again, but I'm going to go with a running back here. Let's see if Trey can keep it going with a running back. I'm going with a guy that everybody's starting to panic on a little bit, a first-round running back that people are maybe like, maybe I ought to back off of this guy, and that's Kyren Williams. I love Kyren Williams, okay? Last season, 1,144 yards, 12 touchdowns, 32 receptions for those PPR guys out there, okay? And that was in 12 games, by the way. He did all that in 12 games. If those numbers would have kept up in 17 games, he would have went over 2,000 yards. That's insane. If it had progressed like that consistently with the numbers he was putting up, the dude would have went over 2,000 yards, man, which is insane, okay? Punt returner. Everybody's worried about Kyren Williams being a punt returner now, okay? That don't mean a lot to me. Some people in fantasy settings get points for those punt returners, but not a lot of people do that, and I understand that. But here's the thing, man. They don't got much over there, okay? If they're freeing up a roster spot for someone who or they're putting him there so they don't have to waste a roster spot on a guy just to return punts. Now, some people might say they're worried about injury with that. You know what I mean? But with the new kickoff rule, maybe that's not something they need to worry about as much. So keep that in mind, okay? He's going to be the workhorse back, okay? Here's the guys behind him. Blake Corum, and believe it or not, Boston Scott behind Kyren Williams on the Rams, okay? He's going 13th overall as the RB5 off the board. I love me some Kyren Williams, man, and I ain't not backing off, and this punt returner thing is not scaring me at all. Projecting next season, 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, Trey.
Yeah, man, and the whole punt returner thing is probably going to drop him in drafts a little bit, which is just going to give you a little bit more value if he puts up the kind of numbers you're talking about. And I do think we have to readdress the punt return situation, like you said, based on the new kickoff. Teams are going to be strategizing, and they're going to change up how they play. I mean, look at guys like Cordero Patterson, one of the best punt returners in the league. Yeah, he still was very productive on the Atlanta Falcons the last couple years before Bijan got there. I mean, this dude was all about punt returning, but he also was running all the ball too. You get the best guy that can run and is fast. That's the guy you put in those situations where you got to run fast and escape people. Mm-hmm. And if that means you got to use him as a dual threat, you use him as a dual threat. And Sean McVay's the type of person to use the best people where they're needed, whether that be in several different places on the field or just one.
Mm-hmm.
So just because they're coming out talking about punt returner stuff, don't feed into all that hype. I mean, all it's going to do is drop him in drafts just a little bit. Maybe Sean McVay wants him on his fantasy team. He come out and was like, "Hey, I need this guy down. I can't risk a first round pick on Kyren, but I'll take him in the second."
Yeah, maybe he's trying to make Kyren Williams' value go down. Another thing I saw Kyren Williams in an interview, the guy asked him, "Should we draft you in fantasy football?" Kyren Williams looked in the camera and said, "Hell yeah. That's enough for me, baby. That's enough for me."
There it is.
I love it.
Jumping to the next guy on my list, a guy that I was big on last year, everybody kind of slept on, and now he's got a new team, and everybody's sleeping on him again, and that's the old man, Keenan Allen, baby. Keenan Allen all day. He had a stellar 2023 season, ranking 3rd in points per game, and finishes the wide receiver 8 overall. I know people are worried about the Bears, but Caleb Williams has looked very confident in the preseason. And Keenan Allen is like, I've said this before, he's like fine wine, man. The dude gets better with age. He's the 30th wide receiver going off the board for a guy who ended up wide receiver 8 at the end of the last season. It screams value to me. Yeah. I don't care if he's on a new team in a new situation. He was wide receiver 8 last year, and he's going as the wide receiver 30th. That's a big gap that he can easily fill. I'm taking that value all day long.
You're exactly right, buddy. I'm seeing Keenan Allen drop, and I'm just swooping him up. Here's the thing: in a lot of drafts I've been in, I'm like, oh, Keenan Allen's still there. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I need to grab him, but he's a little bit down. I'm like, I bet I could wait around for him. And every time he's still sitting there, Trey. So Keenan Allen, definitely some value. There's the DJ Moore of it all. There's the Caleb Williams was a rookie. I understand that these are all things that are scaring you, but you're still taking DJ Moore within the first couple rounds. So what's the problem with Keenan Allen? Because he's an old wide receiver. He's been old, okay? And he's been producing every year. Yeah, he gets hurt here and there, but when he is in, he always produces for you, man. So I understand that Caleb Williams is a rookie, might be scaring you, but that guy's looking great in preseason. Everything I've seen, I'm really loving what I'm seeing out of Caleb Williams. And, I mean, that's making me want some Keenan Allen, Trey.
Without a doubt.
I love it, buddy. Keenan Allen, a good one. I'm really surprised. Look, we didn't know who our guys were before we started this thing right here, man. And so far, so good, baby. We haven't hit on the same guy.
Yep.
Guys, again, I'm going to tell you out there in the world, in the internet world out there, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to Fourth and Flex over on TikTok, hit the plus, follow us. We love all you guys out there, man. And we just want to help you win championships. So come on over, become a Flexaholic, and love your boys over here.
It's what we do.
It is what we do, baby. It is what we do. But let's keep it moving. I'm going with another wide receiver here, man. I got a lot of wide receivers that I'm loving in these drafts because I am one of those running back heavy type guys. So I see a lot of value in wide receivers. And this is a guy that you've heard me talk about all offseason, man. I can't stop talking about this guy. And it's Curtis Samuel, of course. Curtis Samuel last season, 613 yards and 4 touchdowns. I can see why you're a little scared, okay? He finishes the wide receiver 44 last season. That's not good. He's never been more than a wide receiver 4 in fantasy. Averaged 7.9 fantasy points per game last season. 7.9. Does that sound like a guy you want on your team?
Not last year.
Not last year, exactly. That was with the Washington Commanders. Now he's on the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen at the helm. It's making me feel a little something different for Curtis Samuel, Trey. Okay, look, he's back with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator in Buffalo, who utilized him effectively in the slot when he was in Carolina. Okay, so that's something, okay? He's a hybrid player working in motion like Debo, like a Debo Samuel type guy. So they're going to be using him in motion. They're going to be throwing it behind the line, letting him get some yards. That's PPR points for you people playing the home game. Diggs and Gabe Davis are leaving they've left the Buffalo Bills, which frees up 241 targets last season. Probably most of those Stephon Diggs because Gabe Davis didn't get a lot of love. But 241 targets gone. Somebody's got to get those targets, Trey. Curtis Samuel could be the wide receiver 1, depending on how the rookies turn out, depending on how Keon Coleman plays. He could become the wide receiver 1 on the Buffalo Bills. I'll tell you what, the Bills have paid him more. He's the highest paid wide receiver on the Bills. They didn't do that for no reason. They're doing that because they want to use this guy. They're going to utilize him, okay? This season, I'm projecting 1,200 yards and give me double-digit touchdowns at 10. baby.
I like it. I love me some Curtis Samuel, man. This is one of those guys that just every year when you see him, he doesn't have the best fantasy out performances, but when you see him on the field, man, he passes the eye test. This dude is a monster. He goes out there. He's quick. He jukes back and forth and everything like that. And he's got a great quarterback in Josh Allen that doesn't really have many options at receiver.
Mm-hmm.
I think he really has that potential. He's just been waiting for the opportunity to take it, and this is his opportunity. And where you're getting him at in drafts, it's worth the risk. I mean, this dude is way down there, second or third last of your picks on the season. It's one of those guys that you have for a couple weeks. If it doesn't pay out, you drop him and you didn't lose any draft capital, but you have the potential to start this guy every week the rest of the season if he is the man in Buffalo. I think it's worth the risk.
It absolutely is worth the risk, man. Even in the preseason, I'm seeing Curtis Samuel being utilized in good ways that I really love seeing. Go get Curtis Samuel in your drafts, because if you don't, I'm gonna.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving on to the next guy on my list, a running back. And this is a guy that, I loved a couple years ago. I've loved a little bit every year. I had a couple little injury concerns there. Jonathan Taylor, baby. Week 7 through 18 last year, he had 21 touches per game and averaged 99.4 total yards per game last year in week 7 through 18. He was ranked 13th in yards after contact per attempt. It's what Jonathan Taylor does is get yards after contact. That's the kind of running back I want on my team. He's still one of the best backs in the league, and he should remain a locked-in RB1 after finishing RB12 last season in fantasy points per game. Plus, defenses will have Richardson to worry about, which is going to open up some scary option plays with Jonathan Taylor. He's going as a 6th running back off of the board, which might scare some people to take Jonathan Taylor that early, but his ceiling is RB1 overall. He's done it before. We know he can do it. This dude is a monster. I have no problem taking him as a 6th running back because there's a major potential for value there.
Yeah, I mean, I love Jonathan Taylor. He's not a guy that I'm going out and getting. Now, if he falls to me and it feels like value, I will take Jonathan Taylor. And maybe I'm completely wrong about this, but I'm scared of Jonathan Taylor. Just within the last couple of years, everything that I've seen, you know what I mean? I hope I'm wrong, because I really I've always felt like there was this connection with Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor. Like they were just two guys that were almost competing for who's the best running back within the last couple of years. Now, Jonathan Taylor wanted to get paid well. He did get paid well. Now he's got that season behind him. Now he's got a full season, healthy guy at the helm. You're running back one. We guess we're going to find out, Trey. I like it.
No doubt.
Yeah, buddy. I got a running back for us too, buddy. I got a guy that was super elite last season and no one seen it coming. Okay. I'm talking Raheem Mostert. Okay. Lots to talk about Raheem Mostert in the offseason. He's old. Okay. He's not going to do what he did last year. Okay. If he doesn't, he doesn't. Okay. Last season, 1,012 yards, 18 receiving touchdowns, 2 in the air, 25 receptions, ranked 3rd for rushes inside the 10-yard line, okay? Also tied for 1st in rushes inside the 5-yard line. So this guy lives in the red zone, basically. We can see that with the 20 touchdowns there, okay? He missed only 2 games last season, 2 games, Raheem Mostert. This is a guy that we used to call Raheem Most Hurt, okay? He only missed 2 games last season, so that's something that I'm enjoying seeing. 32 years old, but his speed has not yet declined per next gen stats. He was still getting up there and running as one of the fastest guys last season. Okay. So that's something good you want to see, even out of your 32-year-old running back, who everyone is saying we're bound to see some regression in. Okay. He's ranked as the RB25 and 75th overall off the board. He's being taken in the 7th round. Okay. That's value. This is a guy that was our RB2 in half PPR last season. If you can get an RB2, and I'm not saying he's going to be an RB2 again, but he was last season. If you can get a guy within the top 15 in the 7th round at your running back position, I think that is value, Trey. And what do we say about value?
We take it.
We take that value, baby. We take it all day. And that's why I'm taking Raheem Mostert in almost all my drafts, Trey.
Yeah, man, I love me some Raheem Mostert. It just seems like when I get down in those late rounds and I'm like squirming around for a guy and I see Raheem Mostert, I'm there. Oh, no brainer. This dude had so many touchdowns last year, I can't count them on my hands. And so that's a guy that I want on my team that I'm getting in the 7th and 8th round. I mean, this guy still has the potential. Nothing has changed outside of A-Chain being a little bit more healthy, but Who knows? A-Chain may run between the 90 and Mostert get the 5, get the touchdowns. That's all I'm looking for. I would be perfectly fine with 200 yards on the season and 15 touchdowns. That's fine for me for fantasy in the 7th and 8th round.
I want a little more than 200, but I get it, man. Those touchdowns can make all the difference, Trey. I love it, especially with a guy that you're getting in the 7th round. Absolutely. That's value.
No doubt. Moving on to the last guy on my list, that is a quarterback.
There we go.
Jordan Love, baby. Jordan Love, last guy on my list. Over his last 8 starts of the 2023 regular season, Love averaged 268 passing yards per game with 18 touchdown passes and 1 interception. A 70.3 completion percentage and 7.7 yards per attempt. Great quarterback numbers. He added some major value at runner as a runner as well. 247 rushing yards with 4 touchdowns. So if you're looking for a late round running quarterback, there you go. Get you some Jordan Love. He did all this with brand new wide receivers, some guys that have not solidified their place in the league yet. This whole team is young and they're building, and Jordan Love looks like the man behind the mystery. He's going in the late 6th round. I think he's a huge sleeper at quarterback. I mean, the guy has top 5 quarterback potential this year. And no one is even talking about Jordan Love. Jordan Love is like people's, bench quarterback that's a backup. And I think you're gonna draft him as that guy as you're behind your QB1 guy, and you're gonna end up swapping him out in like week 3, and you're gonna be like, I'm riding Jordan Love the rest of the season.
I love it, man. I love the Jordan Love take. This is a guy that we have also been talking about in the offseason, but you're right. We haven't heard a lot about it, to be completely honest. And this is a guy that you can wait on a little bit. If you don't get one of those top 4 or 5 main guys, you don't get your Josh Allens or your Jalen Hurts or your Lamars, you can wait a little bit. Let everybody take those guys. You get Jordan Love in like the 10th, maybe 9th, somewhere around there, maybe a little earlier, okay, depending on who you're drafting with. But this is a guy that you can get later, and you can just stack up at the receiver and running back position, get you guys that you can count on, and then still come in with a good top 5, possibly quarterback on the season. I love it, Trey. I love it.
Yeah, man. One of my biggest things with Jordan Love, we do a lot of super flex over here at 4th and Flex.
Mm-hmm.
And, Jordan Love, I think, is great value in super flex leagues because, all these guys are going in the first round, Jalen Hurts, your Josh Allen, your Mahomes, and all these guys. And then you get an opportunity. You can just go ahead and grab you a Christian McCaffrey or a Tyreek Hill in that first round. No problem. 2nd round comes around, Jordan Love is your QB1, and you're chilling, and you've got one of the top 5 other positions in the league. And you've got a quarterback who has the potential to be there. So to me, that's the kind of route I'm taking in Superflex type leagues.
Yeah, buddy. I like it a lot. Oh, man. Great stuff, Trey. Great stuff, man. Those are some guys that we are drafting in our fantasy leagues. Put down in the comments, who's some guys that you're drafting, okay? Over on TikTok, tell me who you're drafting. Who do you like this season? Who's some guys that maybe we missed, maybe we didn't talk about? Put it down in the comments, man. I'll message you back, and we'll see what's happening, man. Maybe you teach me a little something. Who knows? Great stuff, buddy. Great stuff. How you feeling, Trey? We got football next week.
I know. Drafts are about to start hitting. I think I got a draft like one every day for the next week or something crazy. I'm excited. I'm ready. And we all that we've done this preseason is led up to this moment. We're here. We're ready. Season starts. Y'all know where to tune in to get your starts and sits, to get your waiver wire ads. We're ready. We're here to help you. And we're going to be doing it along with you. We're not the guys that don't play fantasy. We just give you the information. We're in the mix. We're doing this stuff. We're down in the dirt playing with you. And we're drafting these guys. We're adding these waivers. We're doing all the stuff that just as well with you guys. So we're here to help. And we're also here to win. And we're here to help you win.
Yeah, buddy. Couldn't have said it better myself. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for watching. And we shall see thee on the next one.
Wrong kid died.
balls of steel, this guy. He's got big balls.